Hello, I'm Laura Arnold Hodge and I live in beautiful Johnson City, Tennessee. You may have heard about it from an old Travis Tritt song where he claims to have met a woman at a truck stop. Well, that's not true. We don't have any truck stops. I like country music and the stories it tells. In 2009, Miranda Lambert released a song that resonated with me. A verse says, "You leave home, you move on, and you do the best you can." Goes on to talk about getting memories from the house that built me. Well, the family and the house that built me was located on Drew Avenue. If Drew Avenue sounds familiar to you, it's the street you turn into to pull into Zip Dip's parking lot. I went to Bridgetown and Oakdale Elementaries, Bridgetown Junior High, and graduated from Oak Hills High School. A few miles away, on Quaker Hill Drive, a family and a house were building a boy. He went to John Foster Dulles, Bridgetown and Oakdale Elementaries, Bridgetown Junior High, and graduated in 1979 from Oak Hills High School. The Oak Hills school system was influential in building this girl and that boy. We are both proud to be Highlanders. That boy is the man we recognize this evening as one of our distinguished alumni. It has been said that God has used ordinary men to do extraordinary things. Tonight, we celebrate someone who has done extraordinary things. My classmate and friend, Greg Schneider. In school, we had some classes together, but our paths didn't cross too often. I participated in the music department and volunteered in the attendance office. Greg was the self-proclaimed jock, playing baseball, football, and basketball in both junior high and high school. When you're part of a graduating class of over 900 people, your social circles may never intersect. Thanks to the invention of the internet and social media, our social circles are now expanded. Greg and I became Facebook friends a few years ago and learned of each other's volunteer and love for the veterans. That is our common bond. I've learned there are two things you must do. The first is to never forget the veteran once he or she is no longer here. Greg and I have both spoken their names as we have laid wreaths on graves each December as volunteers with Wreaths Across America. The second is to serve them while they are still alive. Greg is a shining example of serving the veteran and others. Since his graduation from Oak Hills High School, he has served with over 20 nonprofit organizations. In 2014, he was volunteering with a nonprofit group that built ramps for those with mobility restrictions. That nonprofit only built ramps in certain areas and had income restrictions. Greg wanted to do more, so he partnered with the VFW nationally and little by little started building ramps all over. He founded a nonprofit organization, Operation Ramp It Up. Their mission statement reads, "We provide freedom, independence, and accessibility to those with mobility issues." If you've ever been involved with a nonprofit from the startup, it takes patience, persistence, and hours of dedication. Greg has generously sacrificed time with his family to take care of families of others. He has spent hours doing paperwork, answering phone calls, fundraising, recruiting volunteers, finding partners and sponsors such as the Bengals, the Reds, and UPS, a company he recently retired from after working there for 44 years. To date, there have been over 300 ramps built, with at least one in all 50 states. There have also been over 270 wheelchair ramps picked up and recycled to use those parts to help cut costs and pay it forward. 5 years ago, the organization opened to others in need of help with a ramp. Greg has done all of this while always respecting honoring, and loving on those he is serving. An ordinary man has done extraordinary things. I nominated Greg to receive this award last year, but it was not quite his time. This year, he was nominated by another classmate, Tim Watzek. After Tim shares with you, you will know why this is truly the year Greg should be recognized. The class of 1979 and all of the Oak Hills District is proud of you, Greg. Congratulations on your much-deserved honor.
Hello, my name is Tim Watzek. I nominated Greg Schneider for this prestigious award. I saw they were looking for nominees and I immediately thought of Greg. I've known Greg since junior high over at Bridgetown. We played football there and at Oak Hills, and we stayed friends for all these years. He raised his beautiful family and they are very close. His wife Lisa has some serious health concerns and Greg is very supportive. He recently retired from UPS after some 40 years, and Greg started Operation Ramp It Up about 11 years ago to install wheelchair ramps for handicapped people, mainly veterans. We recently installed one for our fellow Highlander whose wife had her leg amputated. Operation Ramp It Up is nationwide and it's supported by the likes of the Cincinnati Reds, Cincinnati Bengals locally, and many, many more. Greg and his team do a lot of good nationwide. Just look it up and you'll see. Congratulations, Greg. Very well deserved.
When you get to retirement age, you feel like you've lived a full life and there's nothing really left to surprise you. But this recognition and honor from Oak Hills has come to a huge surprise to me. I have to thank the Oak Hills Alumni and Education Foundation for this amazing award. I'm very humbled to receive this. This honor is special thanks to my classmates from 1979, Tim and Laura. I'm so appreciative that they thought of me for this recognition. We may not have seen each other very often, but the group of friends that I made over 50 years ago is still who I consider to be my close friends today. I know I can depend on them. I started my Oak Hills journey nearly 60 years ago at John Foster Dulles as a kindergartner. Then on to Bridgetown, back to Dulles, then in 1969 at Oakdale as a third grader for the brand new school. Then I moved to Bridgetown for my junior high and then finally to Oak Hills for my sophomore, junior, and senior years. I always tell people that high school was the best 3 years of my life. I really enjoyed high school and often reminisce about it with my kids and grandkids. Besides receiving a great education, I had the privilege of playing 3 sports at Oak Hills: football, basketball, and baseball. Oak Hills had some great, amazing coaches and mentors back in the 70s, such as Will Rutenshore, Art Dalcani, Carl Lowenstein, Steve Moore, Ron Chastain, and Clark Eads, just to name a few. They taught us athletes so much more than subjects in a classroom. They taught us about leadership, teamwork, the importance of good sportsmanship. They drilled into us how to play together as a team, win or lose. They showed us how to lead by example on and off the field. I like to think that I carried those leadership and teamwork skills into my 44-year career at UPS. I was able to utilize my leadership and train over 100 UPS drivers in the Cincinnati area to drive and, more importantly, to work safely. I took that teamwork experience and started volunteering with over 20 nonprofits. I've received several Presidential Service Awards and the George Bush Point of Light Award for volunteerism. All my philanthropic work led me to starting my own nonprofit 11 years ago, which is called Operation Ramp It Up. Our organization builds wheelchair ramps for veterans and those with mobility issues. We provide freedom, independence, and accessibility. Through teamwork, I was able to establish over 70 partners and sponsors across 50 states, which helps us build these wheelchair ramps. Some of our amazing partners are the NFL, Major League Baseball, Amazon, Kroger's, UPS, and several high schools across the country. I am proud of the work that my nonprofit does. We have installed over 300 wheelchair ramps across the USA. We were able to help a 1973 Oak Hills alumni, Richard Popielski, who needed a wheelchair ramp in Roanoke, Virginia several years ago. Most recently, a 1979 alumni, Lonnie Ott, reached out for help because his wife just had her leg amputated due to an infection. So Tim Watzek and I reached out to Oak Hills classmates and alumni for support to assist one of our own. Oak Hills alumni did not disappoint, and the response was so impressive. Class of 79 can be so proud. I know I am. I realize that I'm just a small part of this production. My forever gratitude goes to my family, my 4 adult children, Kelly, Brad, Brooke, and Ross, who all serve on the board of directors at Operation Ramp It Up and help facilitate our daily operations. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my wife, Lisa, who I've been married to for 43 years. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for her support and patience. I started Operation Ramp It Up 11 years ago, the same time she began her 11-year cancer journey. Together, we will continue to build our nonprofit, and together we will continue to fight her cancer. I would like to give a special thanks to my oldest brother, Mike Schneider, 1974 graduate, for his mentorship and leadership. He has been such a great role model throughout my life and is always there to support my nonprofit. And finally, I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My parents made it possible for us 3 boys to have the privilege to go to Oak Hills High School, allowing us to play 3 different sports. Their support, time, and effort into our lives taught me how to be an involved parent and what sacrifice means. I sure don't believe I deserve this recognition from Oak Hills over anyone else. Giving back to our community and to our society is something everyone can do. I have been fortunate enough to have the generosity and support of so many amazing people who makes our organization function. I will continue installing ramps and giving back as long as I am able. Thank you, Oak Hills, for providing me the foundation necessary to lead by example and give back to our community. I truly appreciate the guidance you have given me. Go Highlanders.